longer, taller. And then just for one final mindfulness exercise, let's assign a count to our inhale. You pick a number, you yourselves today. Perhaps it's 3 or 4. And I want you to match the length of your inhale to the length of your exhale. So if you take 3 counts to fill your lungs, you'll take 3 counts to empty your lungs. This is called the Samavriti breath. It's the balanced breath. If you practice this for a few minutes on your own at home, you notice that it really balances you to a center point from being anxious or agitated, or it can be uplifting if you're feeling the opposite emotions, if you're down a little bit. So just about 3 more of those, please. And then go back to your normal respiration. Just inhale, exhale, no count attached to it. And gently blink your eyes open. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for indulging me with that balancing breath. It's an equal part of our practice. The breath practice is equal to any kind of physical practice we might do with movement or stretching. And also to if you have a meditation practice or a mindfulness practice, there's a triangle. Yoga is considered the breath, the asana, the physical practice that we do together, and then any kind of mindfulness meditative practice you might have. They're equally important in yoga. So that's why we always do a little breathing at the beginning of my classes. So root down, rise up. And then if you'd like to tilt your left ear over your left shoulder, go ahead. And we're going to float that left arm up. And if we can reach our right cheek with our fingers, we're just going to press those left fingertips into the right cheek and draw it upward towards the ceiling and then towards the left side wall. So we start to open up the right side of the neck. You can stay right here with your right hand on your right knee, or you can wrap that arm around behind your back and hook your fingers somewhere along your back or your left waistband. And then press that right shoulder blade back, press the right elbow back as you lift your right cheek skin up towards the tip of your left elbow, and just take a couple breaths. Don't crunch your left ear down towards your shoulder. It's more of a diagonal up and outward stretching of the right side of your neck. One more breath, inhale, exhale completely, and then release the right hand to the right knee and release the left hand to the left knee, and just bring your head to center. And root down, rise up. So you're a tall version of yourself today. And then tilt your right ear over your right shoulder. Float the right hand up over there to your left cheek, if you can find it. If your elbow doesn't do that, that's okay. And then draw that soft left cheek skin up towards the ceiling and over towards the top of the right wall, wrapping the left arm around behind our back, just hugging our fingers towards our right waistband or just along the center of our back, and press the left shoulder blade and left elbow tip towards the space behind you. And just take a few breaths here, opening up the left side of your neck. And of course, breathing in and out, just noticing what's happening, right? Then let's bring the left hand back to the left knee and take the right hand to the right knee. Root down, rise up, super tall sitting. And we're going to gently turn our face to the right, nice and slow. So you're looking straight to the right side of your room. And then come back to look straight forward. And then we'll go to the left, nice and slow. And come back to the center and take it to the right. And come back to the center and take it to the left. Back to center we come, chin towards chest, stretch the back of your neck. And lastly, chin towards the ceiling. One more time, slowly descend, chin towards chest. And one last time, raise your chin towards the ceiling. Perfect. Come back to neutral center, and then let's take all 10 fingertips to the side. All right, so most of you, unless you have a cross mat going here, your fingers will be on the floor. And I want you to press down into the 10 fingertips as firmly as you can to get a little bit more elevation in your head, your spine, your shoulders, and then drop your shoulders down towards your elbows on the floor. Perfect. Pull the belly wall back. Take a deep breath in and exhale out, and then keep that altitude in your spine, that verticality, and float the hands up. Turn the palms to the ceiling, come shoulder high. And then we're going to squeeze our shoulder blades together behind us, and we're going to drop them down towards the floor. So squeeze the shoulder blades together and drop them down. Now we can raise our arms safely a little higher up here. Looks really good. Perfect. And then bring the arms back shoulder high. And I want you to cross the right arm over the left arm and just grab any part of your shoulders or arms that you have. Give yourself a little massage and tuck your chin and curl down towards the floor, towards your mat. You're still hugging your elbows and your arms together. Take a couple breaths here and just notice, where are you feeling this? Are you feeling it in the mid back? Are you feeling it in the low back? Are you feeling it in the hips? And then release your fingers and arms out to the front space here. I still have my palms floating. My 10 fingertips are down. Crown of the head is reaching out towards my thumbs. And I'm going to walk over to the right a little bit. My tummy's hanging out over my right inner thigh. And my left hip is grounding down into the floor. Take a breath in and a breath out. And then let's walk our hands back to the center space and over to the left. We're going to pull that right hip down underneath us. Let's come back to the center. Yeah. Reach your head towards your hands. Pull your hip creases back. And then walk your hands underneath your chest. Push up to come to seated. Roll the shoulders back and down. Roll them up and forward. Roll them up, back, and down. Up, forward, and down. One last time. Let's roll them up, back, down, and keep them there. 10 fingertips pressing into the floor. Crown of the head floating towards the ceiling. Keep those shoulders pulled together behind you and drop them down into your back pockets and float your hands. Let's come all the way up, maybe look up. Let's float hands shoulder high. This time we're going to cross the left arm above the right, cross elbows, arms, and find some place of your shoulders or arms to hug and give yourself a little massage. Tuck your chin and round down towards your ankles or your legs. Take a couple breaths. Stretch your spine, and then release your fingertips out in front on the mat and walk your hands forward one more time. Just getting a nice long stretch of the spine. Crown of the head reaching towards our 10 fingertips, belly button pulling back. Walk your hands to the left this time. Walk your hands through center, going to the right until your hands are out in the direction that your right knee is pointing. Left hip is grounding. Come back to center, please. One more time, reach the tip top of your head out towards your hands as you rock your hip creases and your belly button back. Maybe have a little bit more forward fold this second time around. And then walk the hands underneath your chin, your chest, and push yourself to come up. Roll the shoulders up, back down. The fingertips are behind the hips. Let's kick those heels out and windshield wiper our knees to the right and center and left and center. Neutralizing those hips. Now try to remember which ankle you had crossed in the front. This last time, we usually have a favorite ankle. You know, it's just, we start it when we're kids and it just keeps going our whole life. And so we're going to try to come to stillness then and take the other ankle, which will feel very strange, and cross it in front. So we've taken the poor country cousin, put it in front. Now, sometimes this creates, it's weird, isn't it? Sometimes it'll hurt your knee. Sometimes you'll feel unstable. You're welcome to use blocks under your knees. If you just can't stand it, go back and put your favorite in front. But this is really good for our hips to do this. All right. So now I'm going to ask you to place your fingertips to the side again. Sink into your hips, but lift up through the top of your head. This is good for our spine. And then float your right hand up towards the ceiling and take a nice side stretch over towards the left. If you'd like to circle your wrist a few times, open and close your hand. Breathing into the right side rib cage here, inhaling and exhaling. Perfect. And then go ahead and lift that hand up, bring it down about shoulder height, and we're going to sweep it across our body and land it right on top of the left knee. This left hand, which was on the floor, is just going to walk back a little bit. We're going to do a very safe, gentle twist to the left. So try to keep your head over your tailbone. Let's go ahead and inhale and get tall. And as you exhale, first turn your chin, then your shoulders, and maybe a little ribs. Stay in the twist. Inhale again, grow tall. And then exhale, turn your head, your chin, then your shoulders, maybe a tiny bit of ribs. And one last time, inhale for length and exhale, turn your head, shoulders, and ribs. Excellent. We're going to float back to facing forward, do our little chubby checker twist. Jack LaLanne, one of my students, was talking. My mom had this twister board back in the 50s and 60s. You remember that one where you stood and you watched Jack LaLanne do the twist? This is kind of what we're doing. We're just exercising our waist muscles, but also resetting our spine for the actions to the other side. Perfect. So let's bring the hands down, drop the shoulders, crown of the head floating, belly pulled back. Float your left hand up, please. And let's take a side stretch over towards the right wall. If you'd like to circle the wrist, open and close the hands. Just give your fingers a little stretch here. And then pause and breathe into the left side rib cage 2 times. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Bringing that left arm overhead again, and then lowering it shoulder high. And we're going to sweep it across the front of our body and left hand to right knee. Walk your right hand back a little bit on the mat. Get that head centered right over your tailbone. And inhale, grow tall. And exhale, turn your head to the right. First chin, then shoulders, then ribs. Stay in your twist. Inhale. And then exhale, it's the head that goes first, then the shoulders, a tiny bit of ribs. Last time, inhale, grow tall. Exhale, turn, turn, turn. Here we go, coming back to center, that little bit of just to erase the board. Yep, perfect. And then hands to the sides. Let's go ahead and take our legs out in a straddle. Some people might need a block under their knees if you have really tight hamstrings, or if your knees are pointing to the ceiling. Putting a block underneath your knees will give you some stability. It's raising the ground to you instead of us trying to get our legs to the floor. Fingertips out in front. You're welcome to take blocks here if you want. Just walk it out here. Maybe push your heels forward. Yep. And remember, it's not about how far forward you walk your hands, because we don't want to raise our shoulders up to get our hands further. We want these shoulders really down and low. We're just concerned with what we're feeling here, right? The more we can relax into our upper body, even if you have blocks handy, raise the floor a little bit and see if it changes what you're experiencing. It always does for me. We'll take a couple more breaths. Yeah, I know. It still feels like winter with my legs, right? And then let's come up to a seated position, and we're going to go a butterfly shape here. So this is where the blocks can come underneath our knees here. I'll demonstrate. Just to give our hips a little ease. And then keep the chin lifted, like you have a little apple under your chin. So keep your chin kind of moving forward with your heart rather than dropping it down towards the floor. Couple breaths. And then take that apple out from under your chin. Drop the chin to the chest and let the spinal stretch move up to your upper back and the back of your neck. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Lift the chin, lift the eyes, come up to seated. Fold your knees together. We're going to come into hands and knees, tabletop position, and then child's pose. So for me, I always use the extra padding under my knees. So here I go, stretching that blanket across the middle of my mat. When we come onto hands and knees, then the knees go wide. Yeah, take your time, take your time. And then shift your hips back, come down to elbows and wrists. Slide a block under your forehead or put your forehead on the mat. Take a few breaths, just stretching your hips this way. Just do the best you can, all right? Everybody's different here. We're going to take about 2 more breaths. Then walk your hands under your shoulders, please. Press down into the mat to come up onto hands and knees. This is tabletop pose, right? Let's float our feet and point and flex them. So I'll turn sideways to the camera. So I'm flexing and pointing my feet, drawing some ankle circles right and left. Just getting some movement into those padas, as we call them, our feet in yoga. And then press the tops of your feet into the mat behind you. If you say, oh my gosh, only my toes are touching, my ankles are floating, this is when we can roll up a blanket and put it underneath our ankles to take the pressure off of our feet, maybe even 2 blankets for those of you who have tight fronts of your ankles. We're going to move into into cat-cow. So first move your head forward and tug your tailbone back just a little bit. Once again, we're lengthening the spine here. And then with a flat back, take a nice slow inhale. And with the exhale, let's tuck our chin to our chest, curl the tailbone down, round the spine, come into cat. And then slowly begin to inhale, flattening out, dropping the belly button, curling the tailbone up, looking forward towards the front wall. And then exhale, cat. And inhale, cow. You can go at whatever rate of speed gives you interesting sensations, and also this should be pleasure. This should not be anything that's creating anxiety in us. We're just energizing our spine here. One more of each. Then come to tabletop with a flat back. And this is where I'd like everybody who has access to blocks today to take them and put them. We're going to raise the mat for our puppy pose, quarter dog. It's just a different sensation to get. So the hips stay right over the knees vertically, but the arms stretch out, and these blocks will just slide out in front of you. Your hands can be on the top, or they can be hooked around the front beveled edge of your blocks. I want you to concentrate as much on lifting your hips towards the ceiling as you do as sliding the blocks forward. Okay, we've just raised the floor 4 inches. That's all we've done. Giving a little bit more space for our center heart area, collarbone area to float above the mat and to drop down. Lift your hips, slide the hands as far forward as they'll go. And one more breath, inhale and exhale. Move those blocks a little bit closer to you. For those of you who want to have some fun with the blocks, let's do downward facing dog with the blocks today. All right, so that we'll have one block under each hand. For those of you who cannot curl your toes under and lift your hips, I'd like you to alternately stretch one leg back and then bring the knee into tabletop and stretch the other one back. That's your second choice there. So otherwise, bring those blocks under, just see what it feels like. You can pedal your feet just like we always do. You can come up onto tippy toes. If the blocks are sliding away, bring them a little bit more underneath you, all right? It's just a different seasoning for this pose today. And then just straighten your knees in downward facing dog. Drop your head towards the mat. Stretch the back of your legs. And then we're all going to make our way back onto our knees, okay? And for this one, we can move the blocks off to the side. So this is a new shape for my students. I came up with this in Colorado to stretch my hips, and I call it the grasshopper pose. So for those of you who are at home Zooming, we'll try to talk you through this here, all right? So what I'd like you to do is recognize your right knee underneath you, and then just float the right foot, okay? Just float the right foot. And then cross it behind your left leg and just tap the back of your left ankle, your calf, just tap it, even the floor. Good, and bring it back into tabletop again. And then pivot that right foot and touch behind your left leg. Knee is on the ground. And you can do that one more time. This is just telling you what's going to happen coming soon. And then pause for a second. The next thing is to pivot that right foot off the mat onto the floor to your right. So I want you to do that a couple of times. And I don't want you to lift your right knee off of your mat. Okay? There you go. Perfect. Back to tabletop. Those are our 2 grounding points here. Now go ahead and pivot that right foot on the floor to the right and lift the right knee underneath you. This is the grasshopper shape here, okay? Notice how you have to come to your ball mount of your foot or your whole foot, and then just stretch your body back, letting your arms go long, as if you were in puppy pose. Don't sit back on your left leg. I'm much more interested in how much you can get that right knee to move towards the back right corner of your room. So you are on your left knee and 2 hands, but that right knee is pushing back. Just a nice slow hip stretch. Just get through all the range of movement of your hip in this particular drill. Now push down so your shoulders lift up a little bit. Move your weight more over your hands. Bring that right knee down underneath you into tabletop. float the right foot and cross it behind the left leg. We already did that 3 times, right? Yeah. And back to tabletop. Take a breath. Inhale and exhale. Keeping the right knee down, float the right foot, pivot it to the right onto the floor, and then float the knee, grounding the right toes or foot, and stretch your arms forward. Your hips move back to get into that right hip. Take 2 breaths here. Whatever you're feeling is what you should be feeling. Then press down to lift your shoulders a little higher. Move your shoulders over your wrists. Pivot that right knee back into tabletop position. Float the right foot, pause, and then take that whole right leg and tuck it behind the left. So for this, we've done this many times in class. This is kind of a floating Gomukhasana. So we've taken that whole right knee, we've gone out of tabletop. Now we've tucked the right leg behind the left, and we're just shifting the hips back. Pull the belly button back, soften your shoulders, let your shoulder blades melt down towards your elbows. Time is our friend in this stretch. The more breaths we have time to take, the deeper we get into our really deep connective tissue here. Let's take one more breath. You guys are awesome. All right, walk your hands forward a little bit so that left knee grounds. Let's come back into tabletop and let's do a few cat cows. Like I say, just erase the board so we can do those movements on the left side. So here we go. Few cat cows. When we repeat this next week or the week after, you know, you guys are going to be able to do this like 4 or 5 times. All right, now I'm just going to turn to the side so the Zoom people can see my left side. You guys stay exactly where you are. All right, we're now going to be in tabletop, and I want you to lift and float your left toes and just touch behind your right leg. If you can reach the floor, fine. Otherwise, just tap your foot and bring it back and tap. Do that pivoting inward movement 2 more times on your own. There's some deep butt muscles that are getting touched here. Okay, now keep both knees grounded, but we're going to lift the left foot behind us, float it, and pivot it off the mat to the left. And you're going to do that tapping 3 times. Tap and tap. Perfect. This next time when we take the foot out there, we're going to keep the toes down and lift the knee. So you obviously have to change the position of your foot. You can stay on your toes or you can ground the left heel. I want you to shift your hips back towards the back of your room and let your arms stretch forward. Remember, I don't want anybody sitting on their back foot. No, no, no. The goal here is to stay a little higher and use your awareness to press backward through the left knee. Press back. Good. 1 or 2 more breaths this first time. And then press down to lift your shoulders a little higher. Float your shoulders over your wrists. Bring that left knee down so it's the next door neighbor to your right knee. And then float the left foot and tap behind your right leg. Come back to tabletop. All right, 1 more time. Let's float the left foot, pivot it off the mat to the left. Press forward through your arms to shift your shoulders and hips back. You can be on your ball mount of your left foot or your whole flat left foot, whatever reaches the ground. Yeah. 1 more breath in this big stretch. Then start to move your shoulders forward so you can pivot the left knee into tabletop position. Float the left foot, but this time when you're going behind, you're going to pick up the whole left knee and cross it behind the right. Walk your hands underneath your tummy so your hips can move back. We're not sitting on our ankles or as we would in full Gomukhasana. We're just pushing that tailbone, tugging at those hip creases a little bit to pull, and especially the belly button. Pull back. Just do what you can. You can walk your hands more underneath your rib cage and your stomach. And then that weight of your body will stretch out your IT band and your glutes. Yeah. 1 more breath. Woo! This is torture, isn't it? And then walk your hands forward a little bit so you can ground both knees. Untuck that back left leg and do a few cat cows or take 5 breaths in child's pose. Yeah, just because you can, because good for you. You can. We're going to get some weight off of our arms here. You're going to take 5 breaths, whatever you chose to do. Perfect. So then pause where you are. Come up onto hands and knees, please. Walk your knees back a little bit. Walk your hands forward a little bit. And let's come into modified plank with our knees on the ground. Our hands are going to be, especially the wrist crease, be right underneath your shoulder top. We don't have mirrors, so we don't know if our tushy is sticking up towards the ceiling or sinking down towards the floor. But what we want is just to have a flat back from the back of our shoulder blades to the back of our knees. Squeeze your upper arm bones together. Squeeze the sides of your rib cage together. Squeeze your hips together. Some of you may want to curl your toes under and lift up into plank. Don't worry if you do not. We're going to take just a couple more breaths. Come down to your knees whenever you want to. And then let's lower our bellies to the floor for cobra today. Your hands slide underneath the top of your shoulders. Yep. The bent elbow tips are squeezing towards your side rib space, and your belly button is lifting up off the floor. Right, press into the tops of your feet. Activating in your mind's eye the area above each shoulder blade, those muscles that have the ability to move your shoulder blades around. I want you to squeeze your shoulder blades and then lift them up towards the ceiling and just draw your chest up an inch or two and come back down again. Take a resting breath. Let's try that again. So using the shoulder blades to lift you away from the floor, move your head forward, press into your feet, and then slowly come back down to the mat and take a resting breath or two. Let's try that one last time. So inhale and lift. Maybe stay here for an exhale this time. Inhale again. And exhale back down to the floor and just relax every muscle in your body. Every muscle in your body is going limp here. Okay, you'll notice then which ones you were squeezing. Take a couple breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Now, while you're resting, bend only your right knee and float your right foot up. And reach back with your hand and see if you can find any part of your foot, your heel. If you can't, if you have access to a strap, you can wrap it around your ankle. We're just going to draw that right foot, right heel down towards the outside of our right thigh in the direction. If your leg just doesn't do that, that's okay. You can just bend your knee. Just bend your knee. That's fine. And then release your right hand away from your right leg and just bring that leg back behind you, resting on the mat. Bend your left knee, the foot floats up. Your left hand reaches back behind you. Maybe you can reach something, maybe you can't, don't worry. But we're gonna flex the foot and drive the left heel towards the outside of the left thigh. I hear some giggles, that's good. So ultimately, this is a quad stretch for the front of the leg that has the bent knee. But, you know, if you're doing it your own way, that's fine. I can't see everybody. I'm just doing, there we go. Right. And then left hand releases left leg. That's perfect, right? Bend both knees, float both feet. Flex both feet. That means pushing your heels towards the ceiling and taking your toes and trying to pull them down towards the mat. For those of you who in your practice do downward facing bow, you would reach back for both ankles. I'll just demonstrate, and then anybody here or at home that knows how to do it can do it, right? We're ready to come up into this shape. But if you don't do that, just bend both knees. That's fine. Tuck your hands under your chin, please. And windshield wiper both legs right, center, left, center. All right, just a nice release for the low back. If you chose to do downward facing bow, do a couple of them and then join us here, just releasing our low backs. This is really nice after that grasshopper pose too. Then bring both legs to center, stretch them out long behind you to the floor. Slide your hands underneath your ribs, push the mat away. Stretch your tailbone back towards the back of your space. So those heart openers, back benders they take a lot of energy, don't they? They're very invigorating. And then let's come to hands and knees. And we're going to step this right leg to the front of the mat. So just swing it around, grab your blocks. Okay. We're going to do a very deep kneeling low lunge here. So this, for some low lunges, my foot might be a little closer to being under my shoulder, but with this one, I'm going to walk my foot forward and just come into this, driving the knee forward. If you want to shift your hips back a little bit, you're welcome to. Just going back and forth. But ultimately, we're going to take that knee forward and we're going to stay there. Yeah, I just noticed that when I was relaxing into it to get this really wonderful stretch in the hamstring and the front of the left hip, that I was dropping my head, but I always advise my students not to do that because it sort of locks your spine out of the stretch. So if you bring your head in line with your spine and move your crown forward, you'll notice that it just echoes all the way down into this hip stretch. Perfect. One more breath here. And then get those blocks under your shoulders. And if you want to do runner's lunge, curl the back toes under and lift the back knee. All right. After we did grasshopper and we had that knee all the way out to the side, there's a tendency to want to wing that knee out, but I'd like you to try to hug it underneath your right rib cage. You can either use your hand to drive it inward, or you can use your inner thigh muscles and hip muscles to do it. If anybody would like a little twist here, we can take our left hand and keep it under the left shoulder. Right hand will move to your right hip and we'll just turn our body to the right, okay? And of course, you're welcome to lift that right arm as well, but it's not mandatory. Just the little twist of the shoulders, right? Perfect. And then let's bring that right hand down. Lower the left knee back to the floor, please. And now move your bum back a little bit. Walk the blocks more under your shoulders as you shift your weight. Walk your foot back a little bit. We're going to come up to kneeling here in this shorter lunge here. So my knee is bent at about 90 degrees right over my right ankle. Let's bring the arms overhead. Yeah. We're going to stretch to the right side. So the right hand comes down alongside the right hip. The left arm stretches over. Then let's reach up to the ceiling again. Bend the left elbow, sweep it across towards just over your knee, and see if you can touch your right knee with your left elbow or bring it to the outside. And we have a prayer twist here if you'd like. Otherwise, just keep your elbow on your right leg and turn your shoulders to the right a little bit. These tricky little twists. Squeeze your inner thigh muscles together, pull your belly button back, shine your heart to the right. Awesome. We got to do the left leg too. We have to have time to do the left leg. So let's turn to face forward. Use your blocks inside that front foot to stabilize yourself and bring that knee back. And then let's do a few cat-cows or just come to tabletop here to neutralize your spine and your hips. And then we're going to step the left foot to the front of the mat. Okay, so from tabletop, you're going to lift your left knee and just step it. It might take 2 or 3 baby steps. Walk it forward. Grab those blocks again. Bring your hips and shoulders forward, driving that left knee in the direction your left toes are pointing. Keeping your head in line with your spine. There's always that tendency to drop, right? Or if you prefer just coming back and forth a couple times, really pleasing to the hips. Eventually ending up with the knee bent dramatically over the toes. Taking a couple breaths. I'm still squeezing my inner thighs towards the midline of the mat here so that gravity doesn't pull me down and out. We're trying to bring everything back to center. So use those inner thighs to squeeze towards one another so you don't have so much downward pressure towards the mat. Runner's lunges here if you want it. Curl the back toes under, lift the back knee. Blocks can be at any height, especially if you're tall, the higher level of the blocks might be really nice. And then we've got the optional runner's twist where the right hand stays underneath the right shoulder, left hand comes to your left waistband, and you turn your upper body to the left, turning your head also. An option to lift your left arm up to the sky or towards the back of your space, whatever you can do. Make sure you're having fun. Lower that left hand to the block, lower your right knee back down to the floor, uncurl your toes and walk your hands back a little bit so you can come into a narrower lunge. We're not in that really low, deep one now. We've got that. So our knee is bent right over our left ankle. There we go. Let's bring the arms overhead. We're going to take a side stretch to the left. So the right hand goes over to the left. The left arm drops down by our left hip. We'll come back up again, bend that right elbow, sweep it across to the left side of your chest, and then bring it to the top or to the outside of your left leg. And take the twist that your body's interested in today. Can be hands together. It doesn't have to be hands together in prayer. You can just have your elbow on top of your leg and turn your upper body to the left, but take a few deep breaths. Good. And then gently turn back to the forward again. That's excellent. Bring your blocks of your hands inside that front foot so you can bring your knee underneath you. And we're going to make our way to standing. Okay. So some of you may just want to come up to standing. Others of you could take the transition of coming into downward facing dog and walking your hands and feet forward. Bringing your hands back over your toes and curling up to standing. Ooh, with a nice big shoulder shrug and shoulder blades behind us. That's it. Oh, that looks really good. It's a lot of heavy work, you know, moving our bodies around on the floor. It's hard. You have to get strong doing this, right? So let's stand here in the center of our mat, facing forward. For those of you who have cross mats, you're welcome to face me here in the studio. Otherwise, you can just turn to this, because we are gonna do standing poses on the long axis of the mat. So I want to just make sure that you do both sides. So there we go. Mountain pose, Tadasana. Here we go. A couple breaths. Inhale. Exhale, ground down through your feet. Feet are grounded. Inhale, rise up through the crown. Stay tall. Exhale. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale. Let's try a little balancing. We're going to take our right toes out in front of us. Just so your toes are touching. And then there's more and more evidence now for our brain with the proprioception of where our body parts are in space, and the exteroception, which is the actual feeling you get from your foot hitting the ground or your hand grabbing your arm, as opposed to just knowing where your hand is in space, right? So, but apparently those links are strengthened by this tapping that we've been doing, you know. We've done it out to the side and back, but today I just want you to tap in front of you with your right foot. So just tap a few times. Try to balance a little bit on the left. Something's lighting up in our brains as we do this. And then you can take a little bit more floating time in between the taps as your left side learns what it needs to do to balance. And then you could try just floating it and holding it for a couple breaths. Not too bad. You can even take it out wide. Hips are nice and open, right? And then let's step our feet wide apart. We've just done the right side. So for those of you who have only one mat, turn sideways so you can still see me. There, right. Turn your right toes towards the short edge of the mat. Bend your right knee over your right ankle. We're going to do Warrior 2 here this morning. It's different to do Warrior 2 after we did Grasshopper. Somebody told me when I first came back from Colorado on Monday, they texted me the next morning and said, oh my gosh, I can feel my hips in ways I never felt them before. So tomorrow when you wake up, guys, if you have a little like, ooh, what's that? You can say, oh, it's from Grasshopper, right? All right. Try to be really strong in your legs and try to be really floating in your upper body. Don't struggle with your shoulders. Shoulder blades come together and drop down behind us to support the weight of our arms. Good. Let's tilt backwards. So here we go. You can look up or down here. Feel the right hand wiggling towards the ceiling. And while you're in this tilt, straighten your right knee. So you have 2 straight knees now. Take a deep breath in and out, and then float your arms parallel to the floor. And we're gonna do triangle now, but before you tilt down, I want you to reach forward, okay? That's just elongating our spine. And then here we go with those arms, reaching for 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. The head does not drop down towards the right foot. It lifts up in line with the rest of your spine. You can press back a little bit through your top shoulder blade. Some of you who want to play around, you can take your overhead arm, for you it's your left, correct? And wrap it around behind your back like we did in the opener. And then just gently turn your ribs more to the ceiling. Yeah, it feels so good. And then go back into your triangle if you care to. Just a couple more breaths. Let's float up out of our triangle. Turn all your toes towards the long edge of your mat. Perfect. Bring your hands behind you and either grab hands, forearms, or interlace your hands behind your back. We're going to forward fold with our wide feet. Okay. My heels are slightly further out than my toes. Got a little turn in of my toes. And then go ahead and hinge forward slowly. So remember, you could have your hands stacked on your sacrum. You could be grabbing lower arms together or binding your hands. We're just going to let this stretch happen. And keep in your forward fold, but releasing your hands down towards your ankles, feet, or the mat underneath you. 2 more breaths. Inhale 1, exhale. Inhale 2, exhale. We're in a forward fold, so we're going to bend our knees here to soften. Take one hand to each thigh, right and left, and press down into our hands to help us come up from that forward fold to take the pressure off of our low back, all right? We always remember to come up with soft knees, right? All right, let's take our feet together. We got to do our balancing on the left foot. So mountain pose, yeah. Part of mountain pose is a drishti, a focal point. So don't look at me for your mountain pose. Look at something in your practice space that's not moving. It's just giving your brain information about your the horizon or someone's blocks or the wall switch on the wall in front of you, whatever it is. Yeah. Perfect. And then moving towards our tapping and balance. Let's take the left foot out in front. Find balancing arms, whatever works for you. And just give a few taps here and just notice how your right side responds. You know, it's oh, I gotta support me now, right? I gotta. And even if you're sitting on a chair and the balance isn't the issue, you can pull your belly button back, pull your core in to really light up that the muscles that you need. And then you're going to let your foot float a little bit in between taps. That right hip is really squeezing tight. And then maybe you're going to take it up and just hang on to the float for a breath or two. Yep. Maybe you're going to go wide. And then we'll step wide. And we'll do our so if you did, we did our right foot first. So we're going to do our left foot forward for warrior 2 this first time. Left knee driving in the direction of your toes. Left knee is bent. Arms can be on your hips. Hands can be at your heart. Arms can be out into traditional warrior 2. We're looking over our front hand. Right. Arms are about shoulder high, if you can figure that out. Relax our shoulders. Remember, flowing and relaxed in the upper body, really engaged in the lower body. Squeeze your glutes, squeeze your glutes. Feel your inner thighs squeezing towards one another. Dig into your feet a little bit and feel the muscles in your feet grounding you. And then just be really easy in the upper body. Everybody's working so hard. Are you ready to tilt backwards? This is a balance thing, right? You can do it seated. We'll tilt back. You can look down at your back foot or hand. You can look up at your overhead hand. One more breath. And then as you exhale, straighten that front left knee. Let's bring the arms up parallel to our mat, but we're going to reach forward like someone's handing us something. And then we'll set up our tilt for our triangle. There it is. If you have blocks, you're welcome to use them underneath your bottom hand. I prefer not to put my palm down on my shin bone if I don't have blocks. I take my open hand and press it into my inner calf muscle. That really gives me some room to lean back. You can wrap that overhead arm behind your back, get a little bit more open ribs here. We'll take a couple more breaths. Perfect. And then let's float up. Turn all the toes towards the long edge of your mat and bring your feet underneath you. Perfect. And then we're going to have a seat on our mat facing forward towards me, or whatever direction you get the best angle from your camera. So you're welcome to put something underneath your hips if you want to be a little higher. You're welcome. We're moving towards the end of class. So watching the clock. Let's take butterfly here one more time and just gently bob your knees up and down. You can do this in the chair too, or if you can be on the floor. Perfect. And then let's bring those heels in just a little bit closer and take your hands to your ankles and walk your feet a little bit further apart and flex your feet. So your toes are up and your heels are down. And I just want you to lean back a little bit. Press your shoulder blades back. Think about cobra here or sphinx pose. Pressing your heart forward, pulling the shoulder blades back, and tilt back a little bit more. We're just going to try this tiny little balance here. It's really dicey on the bolster. It's a little bit easier on the floor. So congrats to those of you who have a soft seat, right? Perfect. And then see if you can bring your knees together. I'm still floating. And roll onto your back. All right. So onto our backs we go. Let's squeeze the knees to our chest and rock from side to side. So my watch says 10:22 because I know we have some people that have a meeting today. So that just gives you an idea of when you want to start your Shavasana. For those of us who are going all the way to 10:30, let's ground our feet into bridge prep pose. Heels in line with the hips, toes pointing towards the front short edge of the mat. Hands along the side mat, palms down. Draw the belly button down, curl the tailbone up, and then just release your low back again. So we haven't pressed our hips off the floor yet. We're just rocking the pelvis by pulling the belly button down and then releasing it to its neutral, natural position. And then this next time we all pull the belly button down, curl the tailbone up, press into your heels and lift your hips. So you've got this descending plank from the top of your knees down to your hip joints. There it is. And see how that feels. And maybe lift your hips a little bit higher. A little bit higher. And then coming down one vertebrae at a time, starting with the shoulder blades, just pressing each part of your spine down to relieve tension in the back. There you go. And rest for a breath. Inhale and exhale. One more beautiful bridge. So draw the belly button down, curl the tailbone up, press into the heels, lift up. Try to stay for 3 breaths. You know, this actually counts as an inversion because your hips are above your heart. So you're taking the pressure off of your legs here to let the blood flow come back down to your heart without having to defy gravity. And then let's go ahead and ping each vertebrae down on the mat until you feel the hips descend, and then float both feet, give yourself a little hug, and find happy baby. So we've separated the knees. Our hands are in the middle. We're going to reach for our calves, our heels, or the tops of our ankles, and just open those knees as far apart as they'll go. If you like to rock a little bit here, it can be very soothing for the sacrum and the lower thoracic spine. And then we're going to end class today with a really nice, gentle twist. So bring your hands to your outer knees, bring your knees together, float both feet down to the surface of the mat, and tick-tock your feet to the left a little bit. Open your arms to a W. Let both knees, your inner thighs and knees are touching. Just let both knees, like a stack of Lincoln logs, go off to the right. So you've got, if you need to tuck a bolster underneath your bottom knee so that it's not too big of a twist, go ahead. And then turn your head so you're looking at your left hand, Try to relax here. Relax your shoulder blades, relax your gluteus muscles. Just take 5 breaths in this wonderful knees to the right, twisted root pose. Perfect. One more breath in and out. Turn your head straight to the ceiling. Bring both feet back to the mat with your knees pointed to the ceiling and tick-tock your feet over towards the right lane of the mat. And now we can let our knees fall to the left, stacked knees, stacked ankles, and turn our head to the right. And we'll take 5 breaths here. Trying to really emphasize the filling of the lung that's on top of this twist. So this would be the right lung when your knees are twisting to the left, really getting it as full as possible. One more breath. And then let's turn our head to face the ceiling, point our knees to the ceiling, and go into Shavasana. So the legs are going to kick out to the far front corners of the mat. Your arms will come down by your side onto the mat, palms upward. If you want to wiggle a little bit, like you're on a beach towel and you're trying to make an impression of your body in the sand underneath you, it's kind of a nice way to wake up the backside of your body. And then just close your eyes and breathe. Try to keep your attention on your breath here in Shavasana, because although we've been commanded in this pose to not move our muscles, we must focus our biggest muscle, our brain, on staying present in the moment. So just inhaling and exhaling. Use these last 10 breaths of your Shavasana and being in stillness to do a little body scan, starting with your feet, just envisioning your feet and asking for feedback, and then moving up to your knees, and then up to your hips, and then up to your torso, starting low and moving to the middle, and up to the top where your heart is located. Breathe into your hands and your arms and your shoulders. And finally, focus on the feeling in your face, your cheeks, your chin, your forehead, just releasing and relaxing. If you let your breath fall out of focus, concentrate on the next 2 inhales and exhales. And then starting to transition out of this final important pose of Shavasana, bring a little movement to your fingers and toes, neurons lighting up in our brain. Bend your knees and slide your heels a little higher on the mat, and stretch your right arm out towards the wall on your right and roll onto your right side body, right shoulder, right hip, right side of your legs. Just take a couple breaths there, and then make your way up to seated, whatever comfortable seat is for you to end class today. You can want some padding under your hips. Let's see if we can remember to root down, sit firmly, seat, and float up through the top of our head. If you'd like to end your practice with your hands together by your heart, go right ahead. We'll take one slow inhale here, filling our lungs and pausing with all that air bursting in our lungs. And then I want you to open your mouth and sigh your exhale. Om Shanti, peace. Thanks for coming today, guys. Thank you so much. It was great to see you. Off to class. Off to class. Namaste. Yeah. You'll let
Thank
me
you, Judy.
know.
That was a very nice class.
If you feel anything different in your hips from those grasshopper moves, right? They're pretty deep. It can be challenging, but you guys are up for it.
That was a very
Thank
nice
you,
place,
everybody who
Judy.
came to class today. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, and that